Hello chess friends and welcome to Najdorf's chess channel and welcome to my best chess games of all time series. So in this series we see the best of the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history. So today I wanted to show again a very nice game played by the legendary Mikhail Tal. The magician from Riga, so they called him. Well, he was one of the best tacticians, of course, from the last century, and he has his special style of playing chess. And of course, I think his games are the most fun to watch because I get never bored by watching Mikhail Tal's game. And today I wanted to show you a game. It was played against an unknown player. I just saw this game on a chess database. I really didn't get some information about his opponent, but I still think it's worth to see because it's a really nice attack played by Mikhail Tal. And I also wanted to show you a really important principle in chess, which says in development you should play knights before bishops. And okay, there are occasions in which you play maybe with your bishop first, but there is this really basic principle in chess which says knights before bishops, because when you play with your knights, well, maybe knight on f3, you see we already control the square e5, and if you play maybe knight on c3, we also control the square d5. If we play maybe knight on d2, we also control maybe here the c4 or here the e4 square. So you see, this meets with this also with this important principle in chess, which says you should really battle for the center in an opening. And well, the funny thing here was in this game that Mikhail Tal's opponent played really good, a couple of moves, of course, in the opening, but then he made the mistakes. He played the bishop first, and then after that he tried to develop his knight, and that was his mistake because I don't know if he wasn't familiar with this principle in chess, but that was his problem, and that's why he lost the game. He developed his bishop and he got crushed very easily. So let's see now the game, and Mikhail Tal played here e4, we have here c5, the Sicilian, knight on f3, and now d6. And this d6 setup leaves really now flexible position for black. He can transpose maybe here into dragon Sicilian with a6, maybe into Najdorf variation, or maybe here with e6 into so-called chevening system, and maybe after a couple of moves, maybe also to play the move e5, which is the so-called Lasker or Pelican variation, which was played recently by Magnus Carlsen, often against Fabiano Caruana in the World Championship match. So here d4 was played by Tal, c takes d4, knight takes on d4, and now knight on f6, attacking here the e4 pawn, of course, knight on c3, and now a6. Now we have the Najdorf, and when I saw that black chose here to play the Najdorf against Mikhail Tal, I knew that it's gonna be something special here. So now bishop on g5 was played with this positional threat of taking the knight on f6, because if you take maybe g takes f6, it leads to this double pawn situation. Then you will have problems with your bishop here on this on the dark square. So here e6 was played, and now f4 with the preparation to play e5, and now black tried here b5, which is also the most aggressive line, because in the game Mikhail Tal played the move e5, and it might seem to you, okay, dude, what are you doing? You're losing your knight here, but you really have this line d takes e5, which was played in the game, f takes e5, and now queen on c7. If you take the knight with the pawn, then you get queen on e5 with the check, of course, and with an attack on the bishop. So maybe you put your bishop here on e2, and then you can simply take here the bishop on g5, and if you try something like f takes g7, then you have here this bishop on a very nice diagonal. After that you can play bishop on g7, and you see this bishops will be deadly here in this open position. So of course Mikhail Tal didn't go for this line. After queen on c7, he played simply queen on e2, supporting now this pawn, which is really important. This pawn is now on the fifth rank, and we have occupied the other side of the board. We want to gain some space, of course, with the pawn, and now knight on d7 was played. And I really wanted to here realize that these two knights are not good coordinated. They are, I don't like this when that happens to me, when I have to play an opening and I see these two knights are basically protecting each other. So that I really don't like when that happens. And if that happens to your opponent, you should always watch for some tactical ideas. You can see that this pawn structure around the king is not so good, because the knight has, with this move from f6 to d7, has left the defense now of the king, and that's the problem that I've talked about in this video. You should here maybe try to develop your knight on c6 instead of developing your bishop, because you see this is now really deadly knight here on d4, and now Mikhail Tal, of course, castled, and this is now the problem. Black played here bishop on b7, and instead of that he should have played knight on c6, because you want to really challenge this knight on d4, and you also want to create here again an attack on the pawn on e5. So let's see now the continuation. If you take immediately the pawn on e5 here with the queen, then you get the queen takes on e5, knight takes on e5, and now knight from d to b5, and then here we have an immediately checkmate threat on the square dx. So you see this was sort of also tactical preparation here by Mikhail Tal. You see he uses all the time this tactics, even in this early stage of the game. So here, after castling, bishop on b7 was played. So as I said, knight on c6 would be perfectly fine with this attack on this e5, and this would be really now an equal position after that. But here bishop on b7, and now the show starts. So of course Mikhail Tal sees that this knight is not good here on b8, and as I said, it's only pointing at this knight, and he finds this move knight takes on e6. So here we have, of course, f takes e6, and now queen on g4, attacking now this e6 pawn. You see black's problem, also this lack of development, and if you try something like queen takes on e5, then you get the annoying move bishop on d3, and then after that white can play rook on e1, and this two rooks on the d and d file with the combination with this bishop and the queen would be really deadly. Also, you see this bishop is aiming here on this diagonal, so this would be a perfect attack here for white. So that's why queen on b6 was played in order to protect this e6 pawn. And now Mikhail Tal finds, of course, the most aggressive move, rook on d6. You see, if the queen, of course, will not capture here, bishop on d6 was played, and now queen takes on e6 with a check. And the problem is now that black has only one square for the king. He has only the square on f8. King on f8 was played, and now again a nice sacrifice, bishop on c4, very strong, with the immediate checkmate threat on f7. So you see black has to react again, and that's how Mikhail Tal played. He simply kept busy his opponent. The opponent really didn't have time to regroup his defensive pieces. So here b takes c4 was played, a forced move, and now of course rook on f1. You see now the king doesn't have any squares, so black is forced to bring his knight on f6. And now, of course, another sacrifice. He always sacrificed as many pieces as he could. Here rook takes on f6, of course g takes on f6, and now bishop on h6, checkmate. Really nice attack. And you see black's mistake was only this bishop on b7 move, instead of this knight on c6. So you see this principle of bringing out your knights before bishops in an opening is really sometimes important, and you should memorize it while playing an opening. So I hope you enjoyed this attack by the legendary magician from Riga. Of course, meanwhile, you can watch my other best chess games of all time videos, and of course, you can also watch my chess tactics and chess puzzle series, in which I explain all the possible tactical motifs if you want to have a better knowledge in tactics, of course. And of course, guys, you can also subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and chess is the best, of course.